My name is Alice. I am 34 years old. This is my story. It is not an easy story to tell, but it is an important one. It is a story about a rainy night. It is a story about a car. And it is a story about a love that broke. Before that night, my life was simple. It was happy. I lived with a man named Mark. We had a small house with a blue door. I loved that house. I planted flowers in the garden, red flowers and yellow flowers. Mark said they made the house look bright. He said they made him happy. Mark and I were together for 5 years. We met at a little coffee shop. I was reading a book. He asked me about the book. His smile was warm. His eyes were kind. We talked for a long time that day. After that, we were always together. He was my best friend. I was his best friend. We understood each other. We did not need many words. A look was enough. A smile was enough. Our life was quiet. We liked it that way. In the morning, he made coffee. I made breakfast. We sat at our small kitchen table. We talked about our day. He worked in an office. He fixed computers. I worked in a library. I loved books. I loved the smell of old paper. My job was quiet, just like my life. In the evenings, we cooked dinner together. We watched movies. We held hands on the sofa. I felt safe with him. I felt loved. I thought our life would be like this forever. Simple, quiet, and full of love. We had dreams. Our dreams were simple too. We wanted to buy a bigger house one day. A house with a big garden for more flowers, and maybe a dog. Mark wanted a golden retriever. He said they have happy eyes. We talked about having children one day. A boy with his smile. A girl with my love for books. These were our small, happy dreams. They were like little lights in our future. They kept us warm. But one night, all the lights went out. One rainy night, our lives changed forever. He was driving, but he tells everyone the accident was my fault. I remember that day. It was a Saturday. The sun was shining in the morning. We went to visit our friends, Sarah and Tom. They lived in a town nearby. We had lunch with them. We laughed a lot. Tom told funny stories. Sarah made a delicious cake. It was a normal, happy day. I felt light. I felt good. I did not know it was the last day of our old life. I did not know our happiness was about to end. When it was time to go home, the sky was dark. Big gray clouds covered the sun. The wind started to blow. The leaves on the trees danced a wild dance. "It looks like a storm," Sarah said. She stood at the door and hugged me. "Drive safe," she said. I hugged her back. "We will," I said. I was not worried. Mark was a good driver. He was always careful. We got in the car. Mark started the engine. I put on my seatbelt. The first drops of rain hit the windshield. They were big and heavy. Soon, it was raining hard. The sound of the rain was loud. It was like a drum beating on the roof of the car. The roads became dark and wet. The streetlights made long, blurry reflections on the black road. It was hard to see. Mark was quiet. He was focused on the road. I was quiet too. I watched the rain. I watched the world turn into a water painting outside my window. We were almost home. Maybe 10 more minutes. I felt a little tired. I closed my eyes for a moment. I was thinking about our warm, dry house. I was thinking about a cup of hot tea. Then we started talking. It was a small conversation. It was not important. We were talking about the road. Mark wanted to take the highway. I thought the small country road was better. The highway is faster, he said. His voice was a little sharp. He was tired. I was tired too. But the country road is safer in this rain, I said. There are fewer cars. I know how to drive, Alice, he said. He did not look at me. His hands were tight on the steering wheel. I felt a little sad. I did not want to argue. It was a small, silly thing. Okay, I said softly. The highway is fine. I turned to look out my window. I did not want him to see my face. I did not want him to see that his sharp words hurt me a little. I decided to be quiet. That is when it happened. It was so fast. One moment, I was looking at the rain. The next moment, I saw bright lights. They were coming toward us. They were in our lane. They were so bright. They hurt my eyes. I opened my mouth to say something. Maybe I screamed his name. I don't remember. I just remember the lights. And a loud, terrible noise. A noise of metal hitting metal. It was a sound I will never forget. The car spun around. I felt my body being thrown. My head hit something hard. Everything was chaos. The sound of breaking glass. The feeling of falling. And then there was only darkness. A deep, silent darkness. The rain stopped. The lights went out. Everything was gone. The next thing I remember is a soft beeping sound. Beep, beep, beep. It was a slow, steady sound. I opened my eyes. Everything was white. The walls were white. The ceiling was white. The sheets on the bed were white. I was in a bed. I tried to move, but a sharp pain went through my arm. I looked down. My left arm was in a white cast. There were bruises on my hands. I felt a bandage on my forehead. Where was I? A hospital. I could smell it. The clean, chemical smell of a hospital. What happened? The rain, the lights, the crash. It all came back to me in a rush. Mark. Where was Mark? Was he okay? My heart started to beat very fast. The beeping sound got faster. Beep, beep, beep. A nurse came into the room. She was a kind woman with a soft smile. "Hello, Alice," she said. "It's good to see you awake. You were in an accident." I tried to speak. My throat was dry. "Mark," I whispered. "My husband, is he okay?" The nurse's smile became a little smaller. "He is here," she said. "He is in another room. He is awake. He has some injuries. His leg is broken. But he will be okay." I closed my eyes. A feeling of relief washed over me. He was okay. We were both alive. That was the only thing that mattered. "Can I see him?" I asked. "Soon," the nurse said. "You need to rest first. The doctor will come to talk to you." I nodded. I was so tired. My body ached. My head hurt. But I was calm. We were alive. We would be okay. I was so wrong. Later that day, they moved me into Mark's room. He was in the bed next to mine. His leg was in a big cast. It was raised up on a pillow. His face was pale. There were dark circles under his eyes. He looked tired. He looked broken. I felt a wave of love and sadness for him. I wanted to hold his hand. I wanted to tell him that everything would be all right. "Mark," I said softly. He turned his head and looked at me. His eyes were not warm. They were not kind. They were cold. They were like two pieces of ice. I had never seen him look at me like that before. It scared me. "Alice," he said. His voice was flat. There was no emotion in it. "I was so worried," I said. My voice was shaking a little. "I'm so glad you're okay." He did not say anything. He just stared at me. The silence in the room was heavy. It was heavier than the rain on that night. "It was a bad accident," I said, trying to fill the silence. "Those lights, they came out of nowhere." Then he spoke, and his words hit me harder than the crash. "It was your fault," he said. The words were quiet, but they were sharp like a knife. I stared at him. I could not believe what I heard. "What?" I whispered. "What did you say?" "It's your fault, Alice," he said again. His voice was a little louder now. "You distracted me. You were arguing with me about the road. I took my eyes off the road for a second because of you. And then this happened. This is all your fault." My heart stopped. My whole world stopped. The beeping of the machines seemed to fade away. All I could hear were his words. "Your fault, your fault, your fault." It was an echo in my head. "No," I said. Tears started to fill my eyes. "No, Mark, that's not true. I wasn't arguing. We were just talking. You were arguing," he said, his voice getting angry. "You never want to listen to me. You always think you know better. And now look at us. Look at my leg. I might not walk properly again. Because of you." The tears ran down my face. I could not breathe. It felt like someone was squeezing my chest. This was a nightmare. It had to be a nightmare. This was not my Mark. My Mark was kind. My Mark was loving. This angry, cold man in the hospital bed was a stranger. "It was not my fault," I whispered. I said it to him, but I also said it to myself. I needed to believe it. He turned his face away from me. He looked at the white wall. "I don't want to talk to you," he said. And that was it. He did not speak to me again that day. I lay in my bed, in my pain, and I cried. The physical pain in my arm was nothing compared to the pain in my heart. The man I loved, the man I trusted, blamed me for the worst moment of our lives. And I did not know why our families came to visit. My parents lived far away, so they called. They were so worried. Mark's parents came to the hospital. They hugged him. They looked at me with sad eyes. Mark told them his story. "Alice was arguing with me," he said. "She distracted me." He said it so calmly. He said it like it was the simple truth. His mother looked at me. There was disappointment in her eyes. She did not say anything to me, but her look was enough. She believed him. my world became very small and very cold. It was just me, my bed, and his words. Your fault. When the doctors came, he told them the same story. When the police came to ask questions, he told them the same story. I tried to tell my story. I said there were bright lights. I said another car was in our lane. But I was tired. I was in pain. My memory of the moment was blurry. Mark's story was clear. It was simple. It was easy to believe. After a week, we went home. Our little house with the blue door did not feel like home anymore. It was a place of silence and blame. Mark could not walk well. He needed crutches. He was in pain, and he made sure I knew it was my fault. Every time he struggled to get up, he would look at me. He did not have to say the words anymore. His eyes said them for him. Your fault life became a routine of sadness. I took care of him. I cooked for him. I helped him move around the house. I drove him to his doctor's appointments. I did everything he needed. I thought that if I was a good wife, if I took care of him perfectly, maybe he would see the truth. Maybe he would remember the man he used to be, the kind, loving man who made me coffee in the morning. But that man was gone. In his place was a bitter, angry stranger. He rarely spoke to me. When he did, his words were cold and sharp. The garden looks terrible, he would say, looking out the window at my flowers. You haven't been taking care of it. Or, this food is tasteless. Can't you do anything right? I tried to be strong. I kept telling myself it was not my fault. But when you hear something again and again, you start to believe it. A small seed of doubt was planted in my mind. Maybe he was right. Maybe I did distract him. The memory was so fuzzy. What if I was wrong? What if I had caused all this pain? I started to feel guilty. The guilt was a heavy blanket. I carried it with me all day. It made it hard to breathe. It made it hard to live. Our friends stopped visiting. It was too uncomfortable. They would come, and the silence in our house was too loud. Mark would be cold to them. I would try to smile, but my smile was fake. It did not reach my eyes. So they stopped coming. I was alone, completely alone with him and his blame. I stopped working at the library for a while to take care of him. I missed the books. I missed the quiet, peaceful rows of shelves. I missed being Alice, the librarian. Now, I was just Alice, the woman who crashed the car, the woman who ruined her husband's life. That is what I felt. That is what he made me feel. Months passed. The seasons changed. The flowers in my garden died. I did not have the energy to plant new ones. The house started to feel dark. We never laughed anymore. We never talked about our dreams. The future was a big, dark cloud. Mark's legs started to heal. He could walk with a cane. But his heart did not heal. His anger did not go away. It became a part of him. A part of us. One day, I found an old photo album. I was cleaning a closet, trying to keep myself busy. I opened it. There were pictures of us. Us on a beach, smiling with the sun in our eyes. Us at our wedding, looking so young and full of hope. Us in our garden with the red and yellow flowers. In every picture, he was looking at me with so much love. I started to cry. I cried for the man in the pictures. I cried for the woman I used to be. I cried for the love we had lost. I took the album to him. He was sitting on the sofa, watching TV. "Mark," I said, "look." I showed him the pictures. He glanced at them. His face did not change. "Turn that off," he said, pointing at the TV. "I can't hear." I stood there, holding the album. My heart felt like a piece of glass that had been shattered into a million pieces. He did not care. The past was gone. Our love was gone. There was only the accident. There was only the blame. I started to feel like a ghost in my own house. I moved quietly. I tried to be invisible. I did not want to make him angry. I was scared of him. I was scared of his words. I was scared of his cold eyes. The woman who loved books and flowers was disappearing. I was becoming small. I was fading away. I knew I could not live like this, but I did not know what to do. I still loved him. Or maybe I loved the memory of him. I kept hoping that one day I would wake up and he would be my Mark again. He would smile at me and say, "Good morning, Alice. I made coffee." And we would be okay. But that day never came. The turning point came on a normal Tuesday. It was a gray, cloudy day. It reminded me of the day of the accident. I was driving to the grocery store. I did not like driving anymore. Every time I got behind the wheel, my hands would shake. I would see those bright lights in my mind. But I had to go. We needed food. While I was driving, I saw a deer. It was standing on the side of the road. It was a beautiful, graceful animal. It looked at me with its big, dark eyes. And then it ran into the road, right in front of my car. I hit the brakes hard. The car stopped just a few inches from the deer. My heart was pounding in my chest. The deer looked at me for a second, and then it ran away into the woods. I sat in my car for a long time. I was shaking. But then, something happened in my mind. It was like a door opened. A deer. What if there was a deer on the road that night? The memory of the accident was a blur of lights and noise. But what if the lights were not from a car? What if they were the reflection of our own headlights in the eyes of an animal? It was a small thought, a tiny possibility, but it was enough. It was a spark of light in my dark world. When I got home, I went to the old desk in our spare room. There was a box of papers from the accident. Insurance papers, hospital bills. I had never looked at them closely. It was too painful. But now I needed to know. I searched through the papers. My hands were still shaking. And then I found it. A small piece of paper folded in half. It was the official police report. I had never read it. Mark had told me what it said. He said it proved I distracted him. I always believed him. Now I did not know what to believe. I unfolded the paper. I read the words slowly. My English is simple, and the report had some difficult words. But I read it again and again until I understood. The report described the accident. It described our injuries. And then it described the cause. It said there were no other cars involved. It said the road was wet and visibility was poor. And then I saw it. One sentence that changed everything. Evidence suggests the driver swerved to avoid an animal on the road. An animal. A deer. The police had found tracks on the side of the road. They believed an animal had run out in front of our car. That's why Mark swerved. That's why we crashed. It was not another car. It was not me. It was not my fault. I sat there, holding the paper. I read the sentence over and over. Evidence suggests the driver swerved to avoid an animal on the road. The truth. It was here, in my hands, all this time. I felt a strange mix of emotions. I was angry. He had lied to me. For a whole year, he had lied to me. But I was also sad. So incredibly sad. Why? Why would he do this to me? To us, then, I thought about my neighbor. Her name was Mrs. Gable. She was an old woman, very kind. I sometimes talked to her in the garden. She knew I was sad. One day, she told me something. "My dear," she said, "sometimes people feel a lot of guilt. It is a very heavy feeling. It is so heavy that they cannot carry it. So they give it to someone else. It is not right, but it is what they do to survive." I looked at the police report again, and I finally understood. Mark was driving. He was in control, but he lost control. He could not stop the accident. He could not protect me. He could not protect himself. He felt guilty. He felt weak. He could not live with that feeling. The feeling that he had failed. So he gave the guilt to me. It was easier to be angry at me than to be angry at himself. It was easier to blame me than to accept the terrible truth that sometimes bad things just happen. I stood up. I walked into the living room. Mark was on the sofa, watching TV. I turned the TV off. He looked at me, annoyed. "What are you doing?" he asked. I did not say anything. I just handed him the police report. He took it. He looked at it. His eyes moved across the page. He read the sentence. I watched his face. For a moment, just for a second, I saw something in his eyes. It was not anger. It was fear. It was shame. But then it was gone. He threw the paper on the floor. "This means nothing," he said. "It's just a guess. I was there. I know what happened. You were talking. You distracted me." His voice was loud, but it was not strong. It was shaking. I looked at him. The man I had loved for so many years. And I did not feel anger anymore. I just felt a deep, deep sadness. He was lost. He was trapped in his own lie. And I could not save him. I had spent a year trying to save him, trying to bring back the man I loved. But I had lost myself instead. "No, Mark," I said. My voice was quiet, but it was clear. It was steady. "You know what happened. You were scared. You lost control. And you couldn't accept it. So you blamed me. You let me carry your guilt for a whole year." He stared at me. He opened his mouth to say something, but no words came out. I loved you, I said. The words hurt to say. I loved you so much. But I don't know who you are anymore. And I cannot live like this. I cannot be your excuse. I cannot be your blame. I took a deep breath. It felt like the first real breath I had taken in a year. I am leaving, I said. I went to our bedroom. I packed a small bag, just some clothes, some books. I did not take much. The things in that house were not mine anymore. They belonged to a life that was over. When I was done, I walked to the front door. Mark was still in the living room. He was sitting on the sofa, staring at the blank TV screen. He did not look at me. He did not say goodbye. I opened the blue door. I stepped outside. The air was cool and fresh. The gray clouds were starting to part. A little bit of blue sky was showing. I closed the door behind me. I did not look back. I walked away from the house with the dead flowers. I walked away from the man who broke my heart. I walked toward the blue sky. My new life was not easy. I had very little money. I had to find a place to live. I found a small apartment in the city. It was just one room, but it was my room. It was a safe place. I found a job in a small bookstore. It was not the big library, but I was surrounded by books again. I was surrounded by stories. And I started to write my own new story. The first few months were hard. I was lonely. I cried a lot. I missed the life I had. I missed the man I thought Mark was. But slowly, things got better. I started to heal. My heart, which had been in a million pieces, started to mend. I made new friends at the bookstore. I started to smile again. A real smile. One that reached my eyes. Sometimes I think about Mark. I hope he found peace. I hope he was able to let go of his anger and his guilt. But that is his story, not mine. My story is about finding the truth. It is about finding my own strength. The accident changed our lives. That is true. It took away our happy home. It took away our shared dreams. But it did not take away me. I am still here. I am Alice. I am 34 years old. And I am strong. Life can be hard. People can hurt you. They can say things that are not true. They can try to make you feel small. It is okay to feel sad. It is okay to feel scared. But you must never forget your own truth. You must never let someone else's blame become your reality. You are stronger than you think. You can heal. You can start again. You can do this too. Keep going. Don't give up. The blue sky is waiting for you.